Ooh.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
Happy Wednesday. It is hump day, so you know that means it's also football fans of New Jersey Day. It is another Wednesday with your favorite housewife and football ladies. And this is episode
You gals.
221. We are 2 weeks under our belts in the NFL football season. Lots to discuss as we head into week 3. And then obviously we've got the best in the world of housewives as well. So we have a great episode for you. We did want to kick it off with some questions that we got. We asked you guys to send us your questions through social media, and we have 3 good ones that we're going to go over now. So the first one that we have is, will we get a New York sweep again this weekend in football? So of course, the Jets and the Giants, but also let's not forget the Bills. The Bills are in Buffalo. So technically, yes, all 3 teams won this past week. Will we see them all win again this weekend? The Jets, just a refresher, the Jets are playing Cincinnati. New York is playing a division game against Dallas, and we've got Buffalo in a division game for them as well against Miami. So, Kate, what do you think? Are we gonna? I mean, I guess maybe it gives a little bit of a hint into our week 3 picks, but do you see another sweep?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to give too much away, and I'm curious if I did pick the sweep. Now that I look at back at my picks, all I'll say is that it's doable. It's definitely doable to go into a sweep. And apparently, if you are, I'm not a baseball fan. I know you're not really into the baseball either. Last weekend, the Yankees and the Mets won the same time the Giants and the Jets and the Bills did as well. So, if you guys are baseball people, if you think that maybe that true New York sweep is doable, let us know. So when it comes to football, the 3 teams, what I've seen over the past 2 weeks, that is what I'll determine it as. I will determine it as doable, that it can actually happen. So going into the season, I probably would have been like, I don't know, but I do think it can actually happen. So I won't give too much away though, because we will give you guys our actual picks. So
yeah, you know what? I'm going to agree with you there. Then I'll leave it at that. We'll get into our picks. Doable. It could happen. Will it happen? We'll see. We'll let you know what we truly, truly think in a little bit with our picks. But question number 2, what is the most realistic landing spot for Odell Beckham Jr.?
Hot topic.
Teams going back to the Rams, going even back more to the New York Giants, potentially be with the Bills, can maybe contend for a Super Bowl, Tampa Bay, some other options that might be out there. Kate, where do you think Odell lands?
I think with this list of 4 teams, and it's interesting because I saw the Giants, the Bills, and the Rams. Mm-hmm. The Bucks came up recently because apparently before the New Orleans game, or he was in New Orleans, obviously.
Tom Brady, right?
He was talking to Tom Brady. So now that's like the latest rumor on the street.
Well, those two have also always had a good relationship.
Right. So you're going to get, like, he could be talking to anyone, honestly. Right. There's going to be a rumor. I just think realistically, he's going to just go back to beyond the Rams. Honestly, he's going to come back from his injury. They're going to, or I guess, I don't know if he's still rehab. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest. They're going to figure it out. And I just think he's going to be there. Cause I just think a jump to, I'm not sure what the Bills, like salary cap is. I'm not really sure where they are with money. I look at the Giants. We don't have any money. So
I think Odell would really and truly I think he would take a small contract. I really do. I mean, he's coming off a massive injury. He didn't take that big of a contract when he went to the Rams.
No, he didn't. You're right.
He'd be willing to sign a 1-year, maybe 2-year deal. That isn't very pricey. So I think money is not necessarily going to be an issue. I think he's just going to kind of want to pick and choose where he might want to go. I know he's toying with everybody's emotions. Like, people always tweet at him, like some of the players obviously tweet at him, like, yo, come join us. And he's like, yeah, maybe. All right. Like, he definitely is toying with everybody, but I agree with you. I see him going back to the Rams. Apparently they've completely left like a locker for him, like a whole place, like in their complex for him to just come on back, come home. Obviously, he was at the home opener. He was on the sideline. He was with all his, they were getting their Super Bowl rings, of course, but
right.
he was there, with all his buddies. And I just feel like that to me is what makes the most sense. I think he's going to end up back with the Rams.
Yeah, I almost find it weird that he's like kind of bopping around to other places. Like, I don't know. It's like someone made a joke.
Strange, but at the same time, he's just chilling right now. He's just like, I don't know. He's enjoying life. Like,
right.
Who am I going to catch this weekend? Like, let me go shoot the shit with Tom Brady this weekend. You know what I mean? So
yeah, of course. If you're comfortable like doing that, like that's fine. But yeah, and then also funny enough, other free agency news, Jason Pierre-Paul visited the Ravens twice. No deal though. But as soon as I saw that he went back twice and people were like, he cannot leave that building without a deal, I was like calling like Joe Shane on the phone, like get him back in New York. I would do anything to have. He is a player that you talk about heartbreak when a person leaves a team. And I'm not talking about retirement. I'm talking about truly like he was a player I thought that I think of Dalvin Tomlinson. He was a player I thought was going to be a Giant for life. Both of them.
JPP even more so. I really, really thought he was a Giant for life.
And I kind of have this like over the past couple of years, I feel like I've gone to bed with hope almost every night that maybe one day he will return back to the New York Giants.
I've always envisioned it.
I see it. Like I can see it. Like I can put it on my mood board. Like I feel like it's a vision for the future and it's a vision that I'm not. But I just thought that was interesting. Speaking of old Giant free agency news, that is something that's going on. But still no future home for JPP or Odell yet. So
yep. All right. Well, question number 3, this past weekend in the Pittsburgh game, there were already boos going around in the Steelers stadium, chanting for Kenny Pickett to come in. So the question here is, should Pittsburgh move on to Kenny Pickett now, or is it too early?
I think it's too early, to be honest. Listen, you're 1-1. You came out.
Things are weird in that division. You don't have to make any drastic moves yet.
And tomorrow night, you're playing a division rival. You're playing the Browns, who don't technically have their starting quarterback. They're
very capable of winning that game with Mitchell Trubisky.
Both have really good defenses, even minus, TJ Watt being out. I think you kind of move forward in the next couple of games. And right now it's still too early because I think that if you want to kind of, if you think of it holistically, okay, so Mitch Trubisky isn't the best quarterback in the world. We all get that. That's fine. But you're going to put a rookie in when you just lost your top defensive player. So your defense is what did everything in your week 1 win. You lost to, they lost to the Patriots, right? In again, another really weird close game that we'll go over these games from week 2 that were weird again in a little bit. But so I just don't think it solely rides on Mitch Trubisky, but I just don't think throwing in a rookie quarterback week 3 is going to do anything for you against a rival, a division rival.
That's what I was going to say.
You want Myles Garrett to eat Kenny Pickett alive?
It's too risky to be doing it in a division, upcoming division game, in a game that, like I said, with Mitchell Trubisky, you're more than capable of winning that game.
Right.
So, let's not risk things because right now, like I said, the AFC North is sketchy right now. Nobody's obviously we're only 2 games in, but it's still anybody's division. I think going forward in these next couple of weeks, it'll still be anybody's division. So to me, it's like, don't jump the gun. I think they're fine for now.
100%.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sending in those questions. Obviously, we are here live with you. So if you have any questions throughout the show, send them on over. We'd be more than happy to answer them.
Absolutely. Love engaging with you guys live. So go on ahead. Questions, comments, concerns, maybe if you have, send them over. All right. So let's get over to some football hot topics because we actually have a college hot topic in here for you guys as well. But for the first one, this was I don't think anyone was putting money on this, expecting this early in the season. But during their game on Sunday, unfortunately, San Francisco quarterback Trey Lance suffered a season-ending fractured ankle. And listen, it happened in the first quarter of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo came in to replace him and went 13 for 21 for 154 yards and 1 touchdown to lead them to a 27-7 win over Seattle. Lance did right away. He had a successful surgery on Monday and should be healed for the 2023 season. But talk about just...
I feel like for San Fran, when this happens, you quickly
thank
be like,
God.
oh my gosh, we have the worst luck in the world where like this kid we decide we're all in on this kid. And like week number 2, he goes out in the first quarter and we lose him for the entire season. Bad luck. But then I look at it and I'm like, as much as it's disappointing, the front office has to like be doing a sigh of relief, being like, thank God we did not trade Jimmy Garoppolo in this offseason. Even consider trading him maybe to the Cowboys when Dak Prescott went out. Like, you know what I mean?
Like a week ago.
It's like really bad luck. And then you're like, wait a minute. No, we actually got really freaking lucky that we also got Jimmy. Like, you know, they couldn't have predicted this. But thank God he was there as an insurance policy. And we just spoke about Jimmy restructuring that contract, becoming the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. And now it's well worth it, well worth every penny, because they're going to have to ride with him the rest of the year. Yeah. And all I have to say to that, I was a fan of going with Jimmy and not Trey Lance. So Jimmy G for MVP this year.
And listen, he came in, obviously, he knows that team. That is technically his team. He came in, he won that game for them. So, and I think there was, like you said, sighs of relief going all around that sideline that day.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. So if you are a fantasy football team owner, heads up. Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans has been suspended for 1 game following his involvement in a fight during Sunday's game against New Orleans. Other players involved will be evaluated for fines. Listen, so Mike Evans did try to appeal the suspension, but it has been upheld and he is officially suspended for that 1 game. New Orleans, Marshawn Lattimore and Evans were both ejected from the game. So that was a fight coming after just a lot of drama llama, because it was a defensive game. Nothing was going on. It was boring. A lot of emotions were high. Tom Brady's emotions were high across the field. Just really, really I don't even know, stress levels. And someone, if Marshawn Lattimore is going to go near Tom Brady, then Mike Evans, I think he said to the ref, like, that's Tom Brady. What do you want me to do? But I don't necessarily
somebody and ruin my fantasy football team for a week. Okay, Mike Evans, not only did you get ejected from the game and ruin that game, but now I don't have you for this week either. So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a comment over on YouTube. We need you all to join the BGN Network family. We need more girls talking football. All right. Well, we are obviously on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and Instagram. Please send us any information. We'd love to talk football with everyone. So we are always here, but thank you for the offer. So it seems like you guys are Cowboys fans, though. So I'm a little nervous about that. It does say boys for life. It is boys for life. So I'm a little nervous about that, but we can still.
Okay.
We'll play nice, but please send us all the details. We would love
or we can shove them like Mike Evans.
We would love to be a part of it. Thank you for thinking of us. So yes. So guys, please check your lineups, put them on your bench. Yeah. You're not playing this weekend, people. So,
yeah.
So Katie, make sure you make those arrangements.
I already did.
All righty, let's move over to college football. On Sunday, Arizona State fired head coach Herm Edwards. Can't say it. Just 3 games into the season following a really, really ugly loss to Eastern Michigan. Speculations, though, were going around. He was also fired due to a lingering NCAA investigation into illegal recruiting practices. There's actually a couple of those rumors going around college football this season. So I'm interested to see if any of them are true. Maybe this one might be. Edwards went 46-26 during his 5 years with the team and never won more than 8 games in a season under him. So, you look at a team like Arizona State and like there's so many teams where like coming from like a college football perspective and like me being a fan, like you look back to like 10 years ago, like even like as short as 5 years ago, like so many things have like mixed up. Like I'll even go back 15 years. Like so much has mixed up from like the teams that you used to be scared of, like really scared of. Like Arizona State, I'm not saying is like walking out and like chopping heads off left and right, but they're not this team that I just read off to you that is firing their coach 3 games into a season and or haven't won 8 games in the last how many years. So it's just wild to see how much things have changed, in college football.
I think USC and Texas are two names that stand out to me.
USC is
those were like powerhouses when we were younger. And USC, obviously, they got Lincoln Riley now. I think they're going to like turn a corner with him. Apparently, he brought a lot of his players over from Oklahoma with him. So that certainly helps. But yeah, like I always think of teams like USC and Texas, absolute powerhouses. And Arizona State is, they have been known as a big football school, and it's been a hot minute since they've been truly competitive. So I understand the move. Obviously, Herm Edwards was a former NFL coach, and they've decided to move on from him. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they can get back to their former glory days.
Well, the latest on the individuals who want us in their network, apparently an Eagles fan runs it, but a Cowboys fan reached out to us. I don't know what you guys are thinking. No, they gave us a lot of compliments, though, and said they would love to have us, as long as you guys aren't roasting us. But I just sent them over our Twitter, so we'll see the details for sure.
Okay.
And again, just please no making fun of us if we come into the if we come into the chat. So.
All right, well, let's talk about week 2 in the NFL, because if we thought week 1 was crazy, week 2 just followed suit. We're starting off talking about the New York Jets, of course. They upset Cleveland 31-30 by scoring 2 late touchdowns around an onside kick recovery. Huge win for the Jets. I know I sent this to Caitlin. I sent it to some of my other friends today that I was looking at the stat leaders for the NFL so far through 2 weeks. And the top 3 passing leaders right now are Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, and Tua.
Joe Flacco.
Nobody could have ever predicted that one. So obviously Joe Flacco stepping in for an injured Zach Wilson for the Jets and being able to, squeak out a win there for them. So
weird world we live in.
Weird world. Speaking of a weird world, Jacksonville shut out division rival Indy 24-0 after a 0 touchdown, 3 interception day from quarterback Matt Ryan.
Take a drink for Indy. I feel bad for them.
Honestly, this has been one of the most surprising things for me. I think them and probably the Bengals through 2 weeks of football.
I gotta say it's Indianapolis more than the Bengals, to be honest, because at least the Bengals are kind of in games. Indianapolis is nowhere to be found. They're not on the map.
That's against a division rival, against Jacksonville, one of the not good teams in the league, one of the worst teams in the league last year. And Indy was like my sleeper team, like one of my dark horse teams, and now they just look awful. And the reason they were, funny enough, the reason they were one of my sleeper teams is because I was like, they have a great team on both sides of the ball. The only thing that is missing is quarterback. And I'm not saying Matt Ryan is the answer, but I was like, at least they're upgrading from Carson Wentz. Well, now it feels like they're downgrading. Matt Ryan is not playing well at all. I said to Caitlin on Sunday, this guy's got to think about hanging him up soon, because if this is what he's got, it's not good enough anymore. So
I've been saying he's frustrating for years. So if everyone's just joining my party now, like, welcome to the party. So huge turnaround for the Miami Dolphins. They rallied back from 21 down to beat Baltimore 42-38. What a wild game that one was. High scoring. 6 touchdown passes from Miami quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. And we had
Wide receiver Tyreek Hill with 190 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jalen Waddle with 171 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. It's got to be the best WR1, WR2 combo in the league right now. It's just, woo!
I know. It's hot.
Miami's offense. It is hot, hot. Then we had Dallas kicker Brett Maher kicked a game-winning 50-yard field goal to beat Cincinnati 20-17. Joe has been sacked a league-high 13 times through 2 games. They have not improved this offensive line. And honestly,
they claim they did. They claim they did. They did not improve at all. No.
There's no Cincinnati, we should have easily relied on you to beat a Dallas Cowboys team that did not have Dak Prescott, had Cooper Rush at quarterback. And that should have been, an easy L in the L column for us, for the Cowboys. And to see this happen was highly disappointing. Arizona, this was another wild game. They beat Las Vegas 29-23 in overtime after Byron Murphy Jr. had a 59-yard fumble return. That game went back and forth. There we saw a 2-point conversion. We saw everything in that game.
We saw like 18 fumbles at the end of the game. Like that was Las Vegas should have gone to bed so ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, I think we said this on Sunday when we were talking to each other, that I feel as though we were watching a day of just really, really ugly football. Like,
I think
ugly football.
2 weeks, I don't think, and I think I said this to you, and it might be a hot take. It also might be a freezing cold take in the next couple weeks. I think, like, aside from the Bills, they've even had some questionable plays. Like, I don't think anyone's good. Like, I know that sounds so bad, but they
might need that 4th preseason game back. These teams do not look ready.
No, and they're going to the 3rd week, and we're going into a 3rd week of unknowns. Like, I have no idea. Like, I sincerely, and I put the Bills up there because they are pretty terrifying. Like, I would never want to play them, to be honest, right now. Like, I think I'm happy we're 2-0, but I think, I don't want to face that 2-0 team, if you know what I mean. I think so many teams have made such shitty decisions and have just looked so bad on both ends of the field. Sorry, 3 ends of the field, if you want to add special teams, because special teams has been
so many special team blunders.
Horrendous. Did they just forget about special? I think they forgot about special teams. There's no one's doing special teams anymore. I don't know.
Very ugly.
I texted you that on Sunday, and I'm still standing firm to it. I need to be at least 5 games in to really confirm it, but I don't know. It's not looking good this season so far. No one's looking good this season.
Well, speaking of the one team that you did mention, we do have noted here, Buffalo blew out Tennessee 41-7 on Monday Night Football.
They are good.
4 passing touchdowns from Josh Allen and 148 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns from wide receiver Stephon Diggs. So let me just end this week 2 roundup by saying I feel pretty damn good about picking the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year because, like you said, they're the only team that I truly fear right now. Everybody else is beatable in my opinion, and Buffalo's untouchable.
Let's just say if this keeps happening over the next couple of weeks, I think they coast easily. But the playoffs the past couple of years have been wild and crazy, in my opinion. So you never know what goes on in that. But I think right now, if we see the next 2 games blowouts like this, they'll probably coast right there.
KC, you know what? KC is looking good too. I'll give it to KC as well. But everybody else, no.
Not good. Not good, people. Well, as we speak of these teams not looking good, we do have our week 3 picks for you, +1 lock and 1 upset for those of you who really want to go all in on some games. After 2 weeks, Katie and I aren't doing the greatest, but I don't think anyone is doing the greatest after these 2 weeks. I had some fun with week 3. I think a couple games I kind of went above and beyond, but I think that's just the theme so far as we enter week 3. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you so you can give the crew your picks for week 3.
All righty. Week 3, we'll see if it's another
Let's
wild
see.
one, but I am going with Pittsburgh, Houston, Las Vegas, Kansas City, Buffalo, Minnesota, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philly, Carolina, the Chargers, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, the 49ers, and dare I freaking say it, people, we didn't jinx ourselves last week. I'm going with the New York Giants. I'm going with the New York Giants. Honestly, I feel as though this being a home game, a Monday night football game, the 2-0 New York Football Giants, I know that the fans are going to tear that stadium down. And I just feel like the energy is going to help carry Big Blue to 3-0.
I hope so. And we'll be there.
Baby.
We'll be there. Tearing it down.
We will do our best to help tear it down.
We agreed on 10, I think. So you can correct my math, but I think 10 we're aligned. So first couple, I was like, yeah.
My lock and my upset. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry.
My lock is the Kansas City Chiefs over the disgraceful Indianapolis Colts. And not like huge. Again, it's kind of hard because we're only 2 weeks in, so a lot of the records are the same and everything like that. So not a ton of upset options, but this is technically like I guess in betting odds and everything like that, this is considered an upset. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers over the New Orleans Saints.
All right. For week 3, I have Pittsburgh, Houston, the Raiders, Kansas City, Buffalo, the Detroit Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, Philadelphia, New Orleans, the Chargers, the Rams, Seattle, Green Bay, San Francisco, and you make me feel bad, Katie, but I ended up going with Dallas. I understand everything you said. I think I go to bed every night scared of Dallas's defense, so I think that will take me to that. But listen, prove me wrong in every way, shape, or form. I will take that L every which way. Yes. My lock is the same as yours with the Kansas City Chiefs over the Indianapolis Colts. And my upset, and I guess you want to call it an upset, is the New York Jets over the Cincinnati Bengals. So
that's definitely an upset, people. That definitely counts.
Yep. So, we've got, it's another, I could change my things right now, to be honest. I could.
Yeah, this was a hard week. And it goes to show you because, yes, you did count correctly. We have 6 different from each other. So yeah, there are a lot of games that could go either way. Nothing is safe. Nothing. And honestly, even with the lock pick, I felt like there was really only one super solid option and we both picked it.
But does Indianapolis show up week 3? I don't know, Katie. I don't know.
Yeah.
I physically couldn't.
We don't know. We don't know anymore. We don't know.
We don't know shit.
You can say it year after year, season after season. This is the weirdest season we've ever seen. It's
literally taking its name of the weirdest season we've ever seen. So we should just stop saying that. Maybe we don't.
I mean, it makes it exciting, but
no, of course, absolutely.
All right, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of housewives. We are going to come back to football for our game and kind of give a further look into week 3 as far as players go. But our big stories of the week for housewives, we are talking about the RHONY reboot. I think a lot of people were intrigued, excited to see some new faces. But now we are getting reports that it is on the rocks. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So according to a report from Bravo and Cocktails, the RHONY reboot is on the rocks already. A source said that the RHONY reboot has gone to shit and test filming with the finalized cast did not go well and 3 stars have now dropped out. Bravo is allegedly holding a crisis meeting to decide what to do ahead of a potential BravoCon announcement. So BravoCon is less than a month away. Caitlin and I will be there. Obviously, this is only the second BravoCon in the last couple of years because
Right.
of COVID. But that first one in 2019, you know, I think it was a big deal for them to break the news about we're going to have a new franchise and none of you know where it's going to be. And we're going to break it at BravoCon, which was obviously the announcement of Salt Lake City. So I feel as though in their minds, they might have looked at this RHONY reboot and been like, we're going to introduce these women and like give a trailer and like show you the new faces of RHONY at BravoCon. But this is what, you know, the crisis meeting might be about.
Not anymore.
How to rearrange this. Exactly.
Right.
So Bravo may be nixing the reboot altogether and just rebranding. And there's also talk about shifting their focus to that RHONY Legacy show that they're putting together, which they have announced the cast. So I believe, and I think they started filming. So that is happening. And it sounds like they're shifting their focus to that and prioritizing that instead. A second source claims that all these rumors are in fact true. And I do have a quote on the back from that source saying that RHONY T is 100% true. Bravo is majorly regretting their decisions regarding RHONY. Andy watched the first 2 episodes of Luann and Sonia's spinoff, allegedly titled Real Housewives of New York, Luann and Sonia Take Benton, and told a producer, we have effed up big time. They're being held to see how they can go forward with the 2 shows. And Andy wants RHONY back to its old form with no legacy involved, meaning that he doesn't necessarily want to label the show with all the OGs as a legacy. I think he just wants to go back to like, no, we're still, this is the Real Housewives of New York, and we're going to stick with our old cast members.
Maybe listen to the fans, Andy. We've been saying this for months. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. And Kate, I know we had a discussion about it before the show, and it's funny enough, like this was, you know, we had already put our notes together for the show, but today they had a huge old RHONY reruns. Not like too far back, but you know, we had Tinsley
like 3-4 seasons ago. 4.
Yeah, I mean, because we had Carol, we haven't had Carol in a while. We had Carol, we had Bethany, we had Tinsley, and you know, it was
probably I would say 4 or 5 seasons ago. Then if we had
it was we had the episodes were like the boat ride from hell in Cartagena.
So good.
We had the first like cabaret show with Luann, with Dorinda screaming Giovanni's. Like we had some classic episodes here, and it was like very fitting that like I watched a ton of those episodes today, because talking about the story tonight, it's like these women brought it. Like RHONY for years was the way New Jersey is now, where they were like the front runner and they're holding strong for all of like Housewives franchises. That was RHONY for the longest time. Like RHONY it would never disappoint you. It was always good. It was so much fun. The cast trips were amazing. I feel like when we sit on this show and like sometimes we discuss like our top 10 favorite moments or our top 10 favorite quotes and stuff like that, it's always like RHONY. You know what I mean?
Because they delivered for so long. Yeah.
I feel like if they want to restructure it, go back to some of those OG people. As much as we liked Leah, we loved Leah in her first season. She was miserable in her second season.
Oh, good.
People weren't really a fan of Ebony. Just go back to your OG people.
Honestly. Well, even like who was what was Luann's friend's name?
Oh God, Barbara. Oh my God, yeah. Like
you gotta pull out all the people.
It's not like I'm a huge fan of Jill Zarin, obviously, and then not everyone's like.
Oh, and what's her name? The tall girl that was on it too.
Like, the tall. I don't know.
What was
I'm talking about the legacy people now, though. Like,
no, I know what I'm talking about. Like when I agree with you on like the introducing of like new people sometimes gets very overwhelming, and maybe it's not the best fit all the time.
It's always like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's why we've had the New Jersey cast stay the way it is for a very long time.
Right.
I think it could be a good idea to just go back to the
Jules. Was that her name? Jules?
Yeah. Sure.
She wasn't good. She wasn't good. So I was like,
just go back to the classic OG.
Yeah. But I don't know. I hope so.
We'll see. And obviously we will be at BravoCon, like I said. So if any major announcements happen that
we'll break it
touch first, we'll obviously try to report that back to you guys.
make sure we have service. Make sure we have our extra cell phone chargers with us. So we will break the news to you guys for sure. All righty, so our next story in the world of housewives. Criminal charges have been dropped against Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Mary M. Cosby, excuse me. So we thought we heard the last of her, but we did not. She's still on our newsfeed, people. On Sunday, reports surfaced that 2 misdemeanor charges against Salt Lake City's Mary M. Cosby were dropped by the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office earlier this month after prosecutors found there was insufficient evidence to take the case to trial. The charges were unlawfully providing shelter to a runaway and another contributing to delinquency of a minor. Cosby was charged in April of 2021 and entered to a not guilty plea in June of 2021. Cosby's son, Robert, was also charged with the same exact crimes, but his case was dismissed back in February because of witness issues. Robert's attorney said the reality of the situation was that Robert's girlfriend's mother didn't want him hanging out, so she called the police. And Mary's lawyer said that she was saddened to be dragged into another family's domestic situation. So a lot of drama on there, but again, we thought Mary was gone. She comes back into our news feed, but we do see this because obviously this news was dragged back in when we thought everything was all gone. So obviously we all knew her son from the show. He was on screen a decent amount always. So obviously he's a part of this. So
Yeah, I mean, like it just when you hear the charges, unlawfully providing shelter to a runaway and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, it sounds very serious, but the actual details of it sound like this is not something that should actually be brought to court or even dealt with through the police. Like, let's be mature adults, and whatever the situation is, this doesn't really need to involve like law enforcement. So it definitely seems that it sounded worse than it is. And obviously, everything has been dropped and she can move on with her life. But I'm happy to move on with my life watching the Real Housewives without Mary. And speaking of, by the way, we do have season 3 premiering next week. After you guys see us on Wednesday, we will have the season premiere of Salt Lake City season 3. So very excited for that one.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait we'll have to give ourselves a little debrief or recap the following week. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So let's get into our game for the night. It is called 16 games, 16 stat takes. Who you got? So we have played this in the past. And as we are heading into week 3, we are going to look at each NFL game and decide which player will outperform the other. This is definitely a good game. If you do play fantasy football, we might be talking about some of your guys. Maybe you have both of these guys and we're comparing them. So that could be super helpful in thinking about who you might want to play this weekend. But let's get through these 16 games here, pit some guys up against each other and see what we come out with. So who will have the better game in Cleveland versus Pittsburgh? Cleveland quarterback Jacoby Brissett or Pittsburgh quarterback Mitchell Trubisky?
Listen, I know we spoke about it earlier, and Trubisky's going to be the starter going into the game. And I don't think the Steelers should put in Kenny Pickett. I don't think that they won't do it though. So I think that that's a huge possibility, and I don't think Kenny Pickett's gonna do well. So my idea in this scenario is that actually, the Steelers don't do so great. Mitch Trubisky gets benched. Jacoby Brissett is technically like the main guy on the field. So he's just going to do better like stat wise, because I don't think Kenny Pickett will. I actually picked the Steelers to win the game, but that's all in the hands of management with the Steelers and the decisions they make on their coaching staff. I think if you keep Mitch Trubisky in, you kind of keep your team just solid moving forward, you'll win. But I kind of also fear that they won't. So I'm just going to go with Jacoby Brissett on this one. So
I have Pittsburgh winning the game. I'm going with Mitchell Trubisky. I think he plays the entire game. I I think these guys are.
I hope so.
I think these guys are pretty even at quarterback. So it kind of just came down for me of like, I did pick Pittsburgh to win. So, that could be a factor in Mitchell outperforming Jacoby. I think it'll be pretty even, but I'm going to give him the slight edge. All right. Houston at Chicago. We're looking at quarterbacks again. Houston quarterback Davis Mills or Chicago quarterback Justin Fields?
It's so weird for me to pick this because I think that I heard on the radio, I think it was probably week 1, that like no one knows anything about this kid. No one actually spends the time to look at this kid, which I fully agree. I don't think anyone really has. I am going to go with Davis Mills on this one. Houston's been producing the last 2 weeks, and I don't know where the spark is, what they're doing, but the kid's doing things for them. The entire thing's doing for them. Chicago, for me, there's a couple of areas, there are a couple of gray areas for sure for me. And if you really want to look at it from from a stat perspective, I'm going to go with Davis Mills on this one.
I'm going Davis Mills. Justin Fields is averaging 95 pass yards per game this season. They're not letting the kid throw the ball. He'll have like 9 pass attempts through the game. He finishes I think he finished week 1 and week 2 with, less than 10 completed passes. It's just, I don't know what their problem is. They drafted this kid. They're keeping this kid around. Let him try to, be your franchise quarterback, but allowing him to, maybe pass it 9 times a game is never going to get it done. It's just not. So just that alone, Davis Mills.
Davis, who are you, Davis?
Las Vegas at Tennessee. Las Vegas running back Josh Jacobs, or somebody who's been shockingly quiet through 2 weeks, Tennessee running back Derrick Henry.
I think this is Derrick Henry's comeback game. Actually, I think, it took him talk about needing a 4th preseason game. I think he's one of the guys, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen him in person. I was this far away from him. He's huge. Literally probably, one of the people that really needed probably an extra time here and there, coming off of a huge injury last season. A lot of people deeming him comeback player of the year, but off to a rusty start. I like him against Las Vegas's defense, though. We've seen over the past 2 weeks him having difficulty trying to break through and trying to get those long yards like he's used to getting, powerhousing through players, stiff-arming players. I actually like him that way against Las Vegas this weekend, so I'm going with Derrick Henry on this one.
Derrick Henry. He only has 107 rush yards through 2 games. The man is due. He's not going to have a quiet third game in a row.
Like Vegas. I picked you, Vegas, but watch out. Watch out.
Yep. All right. Kansas City at Indianapolis. Kansas City wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster or Indianapolis wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. if, he is healthy.
Yeah, I think it really, it does come down to that healthy factor. I am going to go with Juju on this one. I think Kansas City over the past 2 games really has, I think in both games, like 5 different people have scored touchdowns. I think they've really utilized that that offense really well. And that was something, Katie, that we looked at going into this season. We were kind of like, who is Kansas City's offense? You have Patrick Mahomes, you have Travis Kelce, but who are the other determining factors going around there? And, Patrick Mahomes has really made all of them shine in just 2 weeks of football. People are all contributing throughout the game. And what we've seen with Indianapolis, nothing's really going on there. So I'm going to go with Kansas City on this one because if they're going to keep handing the ball off to anyone they want to, someone's scoring a touchdown and Patrick Mahomes is making it happen.
So for the exact opposite reason, I'm going with Michael Pittman Jr. because I do feel like Kansas City, like Patrick Mahomes is getting everybody the ball. So although it was expected that Juju was going to be WR1, he's not going to get the amount of looks that a normal WR1 would get because Patrick can pass it to 100 million people, and he is. And I feel as though Juju is not producing enough. He's not getting enough. I don't have him in fantasy football, but I would be like, oh, this isn't enough. This wasn't what I was expecting. I expected more. So I look at a guy like Michael Pittman Jr. for the Colts, and he is like the big WR1 factor, and he is getting those looks because there's not a lot of weapons over there. So for that reason, I'm going with Pittman on this one. All right, Buffalo at Miami. Oh my goodness, how do you pick between these guys? We're looking at the top two guys in receiving yards right now through 2 weeks of football. We've got Buffalo wide receiver Stephon Diggs or Miami wide receiver Tyreek Hill.
I mean, I'll just base it on history. You know, Josh Allen's been with Stephon Diggs a little bit longer than Tua's been with Tyreek. So I'm just going to base it off history. And obviously we just saw a master of a game from Stephon Diggs. We did see a huge game from, you know, Tua and the offense in Miami as well. But, you know, for me, I'm just going to base it off, you know, who knows their wide receiver better and who's going to click more in this weekend. So I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs here.
I'm going Diggs as well. A couple, it's just like my last response. There are a couple more weapons in Miami, and certainly you're going to have to feed Jalen Waddle a whole bunch as well. So for that reason, I'm going with Diggs. All right, Detroit at Minnesota. Detroit running back DeAndre Swift or Minnesota running back Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the run game that I like a little bit more. I actually like Detroit's running game a little bit more than I like Minnesota's running game this season. So I think they proved a little bit more. We're seeing a lot more open space actually for them to actually like kind of hit that pocket and go. DeAndre Swift, obviously, you know, phenomenal stats so far. He's really done a lot for his fantasy owners and for everything. So yeah, I mean, again, Dalvin Cook is an absolutely phenomenal running back, and he can, you know, get up that scoreboard as well and really give you the stats that you need. But for me, this one, it just comes down to the actual gameplay that I like from the team. And that's why I have to go with Detroit and DeAndre Swift on this one.
I'm going with DeAndre Swift as well. I think he's like fourth in rushing yards right now.
Yeah.
And I've been closely watching Dalvin Cook. He's on one of my fantasy teams, and it's been a very, very quiet 2 games for Dalvin so far, and huge games for DeAndre. So I got to do with what's trending. So
I will say, I went 3-0 in fantasy last week, and I did have someone who had DeAndre Swift, but I ended up beating them because I had 2 other people that were better. So I was like, haha, because if you had him, like you were just stomping on people. And I was like, not getting stomped out for once. Thank God.
All right, Baltimore at New England. We are looking at Baltimore wide receiver Rashad Bateman or New England wide receiver Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, so I went with the Patriots in my picks on this one. I really like the Mac Jones, Jacoby Myers connection. So, and, you know, down in Baltimore, I'm still kind of questioning, you know, Lamar and his, you know, receiving core around him, his offensive core around him. You know, they're great. They're doing good things. But I just really like that connection between Mac Jones and Jacoby Myers. So I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers on this one.
I'm going with Rashad Bateman. I just like that Baltimore offense a hell of a lot more than I like that New England offense. And yes, I agree with you. I think that Jacoby Myers and Mac Jones connection is a good one. I actually just picked up Jacoby Myers in one of my leagues.
Oh, that's a good one. I should probably do that.
But Rashad Bateman, you know, going into this, losing Marquise Brown in the offseason, they were like, he's going to be our guy. Like so far he's been good for them. And again, I just like that offense to produce more than New England's offense. All right, Cincinnati at the Jets. Cincinnati wide receiver T. Higgins or Jets wide receiver and rookie Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this like really does have to do with the QB connection to the offensive player, in my opinion. So for this one, I know Joe Flacco's given us some stats that we never probably thought we'd see in the 2022 season on the New York Jets. You know, Joe Burrow's had a tough couple, you know, first 2 games here. But I just really like him and T. Higgins. You know, for me, that's just the better duo. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. T. Higgins on this one. Sorry, not them. T. Higgins.
I'm going with Garrett Wilson. Yeah. That is a name that is trending. I see this being a big star for the New York Jets. I know I tried to pick him up on waivers this week. There was about 5 or 6 other claims on him, so I did not get him. He's a hot name right now, and I'm going to ride with that. I'm going Garrett Wilson. All right, Philly at Washington. Philly running back Miles Sanders or Washington running back Antonio Gibson?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Philly, I think they have a stellar offense and defense. From an offensive perspective, though, I actually like their passing game a lot more, and I like Jalen Hurts rushing it himself. So
Yeah.
Miles Sanders is a great running back. I just don't know how much they're going to utilize it when they have a great, thrower at a quarterback, and also a quarterback that can take it in and do his own thing. And I think when it comes to
Oh, she's frozen. I'll give her a second. Unfreeze. Come back to us. All right. Well, I will give you my pick. I am not going with I'm not going with Antonio Gibson like Caitlin. I am, in fact, going with Miles Sanders. The Washington defense has actually let up the 5th most rushing yard. She's back.
I'm back.
So we got to get back on track with each other because we have not been the same for a couple of picks. I am going with Miles Sanders strictly because Washington defense has let up the 5th most rushing yards per game this season. So that run defense hasn't been too hot. I totally agree with the reasons of you going with Antonio Gibson because, yes, of course, Jalen Hurts is going to run himself, everything like that. This was more so based on that Washington run defense not being successful so far. So I think Philly needs to look at that and be like, okay, this is a game where we can get Miles really involved and hopefully just, run it down their throats. All right, New Orleans at Carolina. We've got New Orleans quarterback Jameis Winston or Carolina quarterback Baker Mayfield.
I think Jameis Winston has fractured ribs up and down his. I don't even know what the hell is going on with him. But listen, talk about a quarterback that actually has pretty much taken control of his brand new team. I don't think Baker is at that capacity yet. Obviously, the Giants have firsthand experience. We just played them last week. And I know, it was rough in New Orleans and Tampa last week, but I think the defense really just stood out on both sides. I'm going to go with Jameis on this one, just over what we saw from Carolina overall. So.
All right, we are back on track. I'm going with Jameis Winston as well. Carolina is my upset pick, but I think they're going to be led by Christian McCaffrey more so than Baker Mayfield. So.
Another technically comeback game because the Giants, for some reason, really like taking out running backs these days. So.
All right, so next one is Jacksonville at the Los Angeles Chargers. We are looking at Jacksonville wide receiver Christian Kirk or Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams.
Yeah, despite last week, I just really don't see another offensive, heavy game for Jacksonville this week. So that just means there's not going to be a lot of stats or points on the board for them. So with that being said, I had to go with the Chargers, Mike Williams on this one.
I went with Mike Williams as well. I think Christian Kirk has exceeded expectations through 2 weeks of football. He's been playing really, really well. But Mike Williams is just a bad, bad man. If you guys watch he is a bad, bad man. If you guys watched that Chargers game last week, the catches that Mike Williams was making, Keenan Allen was out. He needed to step up for them. And my God, he is – I forget who it was. One of the NFL players was watching it and they tweeted that having Mike Williams is like having a cheat code, in video games. It's not even real, the catches that he's making. So I love Mike Williams. Ooh, he is good. All right, Rams at Arizona. We are looking at some tight ends here. Are we going to go with Rams tight end Tyler Higbee or Arizona tight end Zach Ertz?
Yeah, I think right here it really is the tight end game, in my opinion. And I just think between the two of them, I actually really like Tyler Higbee as a tight end over Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is kind of entering kind of an unknown area to where is it near his end of his career? Can he spurt up if he needs to? For me, Tyler Higbee is the better tight end. And for this game, it's going to be an offensive heavy game. So the Matthew Stafford and the Rams are really going to have to look at all of their offensive units. So I think, they're going to look to those big, strong players. And luckily for them, they have a big, strong tight end, like not many of us have. So I do like Tyler Higbee on this one. So,
okay. The Rams, they have the better offense. Stafford has to spread it to too many weapons out there. So I'm going with Ertz. I think he has more of an opportunity in Arizona. Don't forget, there's no DeAndre Hopkins over there. There are not many guys that Kyler has to rely on, and Zach Ertz is, even though it's only his like second year with Arizona, he does have like that veteran type presence and somebody that you can kind of like a safety blanket almost.
Yeah.
And I think he's, like I said, I think he's going to have more of an opportunity to see balls thrown his way. All right, Atlanta at Seattle. Atlanta wide receiver Drake London or Seattle wide receiver DK Metcalf?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen stuff out of Drake London so far. I must say, I just don't really like this Atlanta offense. I picked Seattle with this win here, and I think Geno Smith just really needs to trust in the fact that he has a monster of a wide receiver with DK Metcalf. And I like him better than Drake London in this game. So
I'm going with Drake London.
Okay.
DK has actually been really, really quiet through the first two games.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Geno needs to realize the player that he has.
Of course. But Drake London is actually a guy that I drafted in one of my leagues, and I have him too. I have sat him on the bench for the last 2 weeks, and he's produced.
I think I'm going to give him a starter.
I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him a chance as a starter this week.
All right.
I do have him in my starting lineup because I've been seeing him sit on the bench, and I'm like, oh shit, look at these numbers. So Drake London, a rookie out of Atlanta. Yes, that offense isn't too stellar. Neither is Seattle's, but he's been a bright young star for them so far. All right, this is the quarterback matchup of the weekend. We've got Green Bay at Tampa Bay. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers or Tampa Bay quarterback Tom Brady.
Dude, I don't know what the hell is going on with Tom Brady, but he is more emotional than I am during my time of the month. So I will say that. And I'm emotional, I feel, every day of the year. So I really don't think these past 2 seasons he's been able to succumb to pressure well. And I think Aaron Rodgers, despite as much as we make fun of him, as we shit on him, he goes out and he performs and just kind of, maybe it's the drugs that he admitted to taking. I don't really know. I really think it's going to come down to that. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers on this one. So it's really has to do with that emotional play. This really isn't. For me, this pick wasn't really physical, and that's wild to think when it comes to professional football.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually talking about mental and emotional play here.
Yeah. I agree with your reasonings. I also went with Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, I agree with your reasons. I went with a different reason for picking Rodgers, but Green Bay has a poor rushing defense, and so I think Tampa Bay could kind of look to take advantage of that and run it more versus, having to rely on Tom Brady in the past.
That's true.
All right. San Fran at Denver. We've got San Fran wide receiver Deebo Samuel or Denver wide receiver Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go Deebo on this one, just because he's taking on, maybe last season, like he wasn't forced to take on that like running back wide receiver combo. He's actually more in a position this season having to take on that like forcibly. So that just gives him more of the option to get more points, get more stats. So I just think for me, it's kind of easy to pick him based off of that. So
I'm going with Deebo as well. I think through 2 weeks watching Denver, it's very obvious that Courtland Sutton is like the guy there. Of course, Jerry Jeudy was banged up last game, but like even when Judy's been in, and Jeudy has put up good numbers as well, it seems as though Russell Wilson has the connection most with Courtland Sutton. So I think he is the guy for Denver, but Deebo is another guy like Derrick Henry, a little bit quiet through 2 weeks. And I do think he is due for a big game. And he also has his former quarterback back. So he is with Jimmy G again. I feel like
might just need that vibe.
I think that's going to help him. So I'm going with Deebo. And then last but not least, of course, Monday Night Football matchup, the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. We're looking at the running backs here. Dallas running back Ezekiel Elliott or Giants running back Saquon Barkley?
I gotta say, I think it was apparent last season, and we're getting a little glimpse into it 2 weeks into this season. I like Tony Pollard actually better as the running back for
A lot of people like him.
the Cowboys. With that being said, Saquon really is the guy for the Giants. We are kind of trying to bop it around a little bit more. And we're also using Saquon in other kind of versatile areas as well.
Game a lot. Yeah.
Right. But that also gives him more points. Zeke doesn't really provide that option to the Cowboys. And again, it's wild to think of Tony Pollard as that RB2. I'd take him as my RB1. I think if this season goes as it is going, we might see some question marks going into next year with those two individuals on this team for sure. So for me, that's why I'm giving it to Saquon Barkley, because I think he is the guy for the Giants. And there really is no question mark there. So
agreed with your exact same reasons. I'm going with Saquon Barkley. I put Saquon doesn't have to share as much with Matt Breida as Ezekiel Elliott has to share his touches with Tony Pollard. So 100% agree with you on that one. That alone right there is going to give Saquon more of an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Whew.
Hopefully that helps you guys. Maybe like I said, maybe we named some of your fantasy football players and you were kind of, had question marks around them. Who do I play? Who do I sit? It was definitely good to digest those. And hopefully my guys have a good week 3. I have Debo. I need a big week from Debo. I need Mr. George Kittle to come back into action.
Yeah.
So good luck to everybody playing fantasy this weekend, and just good luck to your real life non-fantasy teams.
Absolutely. All right. It's that time of the episode where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wine, life, anything you want to let the audience know. Katie, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
I'll make it super quick. I feel like it's kind of been the theme of the episode that this is just a wild season so far. And I told Caitlin, I feel as though I am not watching football, but I am, in fact, it is not September. It is March. I am watching March Madness. This is college basketball, because the upsets, the mistakes that we've seen, the teams that you expect to perform well that are just shitting the bed. It has been crazy. And I feel like making our picks, for week 1, week 2, now for week 3, totally unexpected. Don't know what's safe. It basically is like every year when I organize my March Madness pool and people are like, well, I don't know if I want to join it because I don't really watch. I'm like, you will win then. Join it. Because you can close your eyes and pick teams and you will end up winning. That's how I feel the NFL has been through 2 weeks. Make your week 3 picks, close your eyes, because that is what is happening, people. So crazy. It's not September. It's March. It's March Madness.
It really is. It's feeling pretty springish out. And now that you say that, I just don't know if I can handle a whole NFL season of this, though.
It's a lot.
Bring us in, 2 weeks. Whoa, baby.
A little bit of normalcy would be okay.
So maybe we'll see that week 3. Maybe not. Maybe we need a couple weeks in, maybe 5-6 weeks in. We'll see some normalcy. But listen, that's what I'm giving. I'm giving it the 5 to 6 week marker. And if things are still weird, if teams still suck after week 6, I'm sticking to my opinion that no one's good this year. Who knows what's going to happen in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, because no one knows. You don't know. So
I don't know. I might be out week 3 if your upset pick comes to fruition and the Jets beats the Bengals, and I'm going to be like, peace. It's been fun. This was weird times. I'm out.
Weird. It's getting weird.
It's getting a little weird. I'm out.
Well, it'll be a little weird, I think, if the Giants go 3-0.
Yes, that would be. People can sit here and argue that one as well.
Good weird for us, though. Positive weird.
That weird I can get down with.
Yeah, but I mean, I speaking with the Giants, I guess I don't know, mine are it's negative, positive, whatever you want to. I'll give you 2 furs if you guys want some 2 furs, get it off your chest tonight. But listen, we are 2-0, and we are amongst 4 other teams that are 2-0 as well, and it's
5 or 6.
Yeah, so it's a small grouping, and there's some big names that aren't on that list because they either lost week 1 or lost week 2. So I just think that it's wild too, and I'm not surprised, but like you see like national media just basically going out there and saying like, the Giants do not belong on this list, all this thing, yada yada. I say they do not belong here. Like those are like actual words like coming from like Sports Illustrated, like ESPN, like all these like beat writers that we see. And in reality, if you win a game, you win a game. So that's it. That's a W. I don't care, honestly, how the hell you get it. So at least we didn't tie. We didn't lose. So the Giants technically deserve to be in this position. They did win 2 games. Were they pretty? Nah, kind of ugly. A little bit. Some bright spots, though. I can definitely call out multiple bright spots in both games. Other teams had some pretty ugly things. So, and we're talking about, like, we talked about ugly this show so far. Ugly, ugly, ugly. The Giants weren't the ugliest. And some of your favorite teams, you NFL fans out there, were a part of the ugly. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Giants deserve to be in this position. It is what it is. We come out Monday night. We beat the Cowboys. We even more so. Who even knows who will go on to 3-0 after this week? We don't. We'll be the last standing technically if no one goes 3 and out. So we don't know that for sure. But listen, it is what it is. And you're right. Like people look at the logos. We're next to some really big names. But I look at a team like Miami, like 2 seasons ago, everyone was ripping on them. Awful team. So shitty. Awful infrastructure. Tua, he sucks. And now everyone seems to be praising them and they're all doing so great. So why do they deserve to be there and we don't? So I'm just throwing that out there as a comparison. Other side of the ball, we will be at the Giants game on Monday. I'm so excited about that. Yes. I'm just saying, throwing this out into the universe. Maybe it's a sign, maybe it's not. The last time I saw Dallas in person was Monday night, and it was the game of the Odell catch, which was wild. So maybe something crazy and wild will happen during that game, and we will be able to see it in person. Because I must say, it would have been cool to see that on TV. Because like it would have been cool zoomed in. I had to like watch it from like a million miles away, but I still got to see it in person. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And it's a cool thing to say. But I can definitely tell you, just as like you will never forget being in the stadium. I'll never forget still like being in my parents' house, in my living room, me and my brother both physically jumping. Our reaction was our bodies leapt out of our seats and we went nuts. It was insane. So yes, like I think both experiences, wherever you were, like you don't get those moments. And if we can have a moment like that happen in this game and we're physically there for it, yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so I'm saying maybe it's not a sign. I don't know. Rumors to Odell to the Giants. I don't know if it can happen in the next couple of days. I'm just saying. It just is a coincidence that the last time I was there was Monday night, and now we're back. So that's all I have to say. So that was my little twofer for you guys.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, with that, we are going to end our show here, but as far as things that you do not want to miss this week, we got Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on tonight at 8. That already started. Real Housewives of Atlanta Reunion Part 3 on Sunday at 8. NFL Week 3, Thursday Night Football. Tomorrow we've got Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Sunday Night Football, we have the 49ers at the Denver Broncos. And then, of course, like we have just said, Monday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. If you are at MetLife Stadium, definitely hit us up. We will be there. And if you're at MetLife Stadium, make sure to be wearing white. It is going to be a whiteout. So
gotta find my white, people.
We will have our white on. College football, number 5 Clemson versus number 21 Wake Forest this weekend. Number 11 Tennessee versus number 20 Florida, and number 10 Arkansas versus number 23 Texas A&M. Let's have a great week 3. Let's have a great rest of the week. Next time you see us, we'll be gearing up for Salt Lake City season 3. Lots of things to look forward to. Thank you, as always, for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Good night.